Good evening once again, everybody. Good to be back on the platform. This is a reggae global and culture dialogue. And of course, this is a Fresh FM initiative, so we'll be broadcasting on Fresh FM. And I'm really pleased that we've got a veteran of our time, David Lawrence Hughes, and his comrade Chris. David, how are you doing?
Yes. What's happening, Rudy? Only you could get me to do this, you know.
Well, I know it's to do with the Tottenham connection, so we'll be talking about that. And of course, when I say Tottenham, I don't mean the football club, of course. Given the supreme prowess of Manchester United, but we're not going to go into football.
Chris ain't gonna have it. He ain't gonna have it.
Okay, all right. So we'll leave that for the moment. So yeah, so great to see you.
And you too, brother.
Great.
And you too.
Great. So David, before we get going, tell us a bit about yourself and your family background. Obviously, you can say a few words about Chris afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I guess it all started with my mother, Rosalind Bridges, Mama Rose, as the community later on knew her and loved her for. She arrived in London in the 1950s.
Okay.
With my father from the island of Antigua and Barbuda.
Okay.
Mum told me that journey was hell. She stayed downstairs in the cabins all for the whole 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And she said when my dad was upstairs with all the other Windrush crew, and they were just having a great time. She came here on the back of, I suppose it was the British propaganda at the time. They were recruiting young West Indians to come to help to rebuild the motherland.
Cool.
All right. And you know what they said? Come over here, your country needs you. You can pick the money off a tree, you can pick it off of the ground. All right. Yeah. And my mom and her generation said, you know what, there's an opportunity there. So they came over that time. And I was born in the 60s in the area of Hackney.
Okay.
And I don't remember too much of the childhood. What I do remember though, Rudy, was England just looked dark.
Yeah.
A whole place just looked dark. I don't remember a sunny kind of day. Yeah. Even when I was going to infant school, it was dark. Walking, it was dark.
Yeah.
So it was a grayish looking place. And my dad, Leroy Hughes.
Yeah.
He was an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
He started a few businesses in London in those days, in the 1960s, and that's where I know he had a friendship with people like Mr. Dyke and Dryden and the others.
Yes.
And those I often, he used to take me to the Fitzroy's barber shop on a Saturday down in Church Street, down in Stoke Newton. Yeah. Fitzroy's was the place. And the men used to drop off all us boys off and go Bookies or Ridley Market, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's where you used to see Mr. Dryden, Mr. Dyke, and all those guys.
That's right.
Standing in deep conversation. So I remember that.
Yeah.
No. So the early days, that was the early days of kind of growing up in sort of like East London and Dalston, Stamford Hill, that kind of thing.
Okay. So
I also remember moving to West Green Road.
Okay, the iconic West Green Road.
Iconic West Green Road. We lived on a road called Brunswick Road.
Yes, okay.
And Brunswick Road was the heart
of
West Green Road. I know there's many people are going to say, no, their roads are the heart. Brunswick Road was the heart of heart because we had the train station right there.
Yeah.
And it was a small road.
That's
like
right.
A cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Miss Kiffin, Dolly Kiffin, and families like that, we all lived on that road, and we all grew up. Me, Trevor, Tony, and all of us, Hazel, the whole family. So it was a buzzing little part of West Green Road. Okay, and there was a fruit and veg man on the corner of Brunswick Road. Georgie and Millie, their names were.
Okay.
Always gave me an apple.
Yeah.
And always waited for me to say thank you. old East End couple. So you know that I remember. I remember the early days from Hackney to West Green Road.
No, absolutely. So of course, you know, being a former Dyke and Dryden employee, anything
Yeah,
about
that's right. Yeah, that's right. You was that's right. You're from
right.
that firm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
Wow.
talking about now, for me, 40 years ago.
Wow.
I know it's hard to believe.
Wow.
So Mr. Dyke, Mr. Dryden in Ridley Road, and then of course being at West Green Road. For a while I was based at 93 West Green Road.
Okay.
Dyke and Dryden also had a travel agent.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Dyke ran from 93, and I used to be on the top floor of the building, because you know they're three-floor buildings. Those ones along there.
Right. Right.
So I was on the top
which was
floor.
was a big operation in those days.
A very big operation. In fact, we actually planned the original Afro Hair and Beauty from 93 West Green Road.
Yeah.
40 years ago. And in fact, we're celebrating 40 years next year.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
I was really proud. I remember walking past Dyke and Dryden all the time, and I always felt a sense of like, we've got something here. That's one of our shops.
Exactly.
And you know, it was lovely for me at that age.
Yeah. And the model is still relevant today, because it was about collaboration, trust, and cooperation. Mr. Dyke, Mr. Dryden, right to the end, they never lost confidence in each other. And you know, and at one time, of course, we were the largest provider of trade credit to Caribbean-owned businesses in the country.
Didn't know that.
So again, it was a cornerstone, an economic cornerstone.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thousands of young people were trained in hairdressing, retailing, wholesaling, and you know, in our community in those days. So,
and then you saw again, you started seeing hairdressers and barbers bringing up all over the area.
Exactly. And of course, in those days, and we're going to come to that as well, the Caribbean people had a lot of retail businesses as well, which of course is important, interacting with the public, you know, the consumer. And of course, Dyke and Dryden started off in music, of course, where we're going to come to in terms of your interest. So that great crossover between music, doing beauty shows, and you remember in those days there was a lot of Miss Beauty this, Miss Beauty that, and it was linked with dances, because that's what brought the community together. Yeah. And my mother used to take us along to some of those shows, because it was all right for our age group to go to those. And one of the main places was a place, a venue by the name of Loyola Hall, which was just by Stamford Hill there. Okay.
So it's like maybe 10 minutes. I vaguely
remember that place.
Yeah, Loyola Hall.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. And in fact, just down from there was the Shebeen, I remember a few years ago.
Of course. You know, we had Shebeen everywhere.
Traffic lights.
Yeah. I don't know if it was too early to call them Shebeens. House party was
let's call it house party. I like that.
Later on, the name, I don't know. Maybe the name Shebeen's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember house parties. I remember that name. And then Shebeen later on.
All I know then.
What was you doing at the Shebeen?
I was just escorting my friends, you know, because I had a car, so I used to be driving all the time. So I would just go along as a driver.
It's all right, man. It's all right. You help the wheels to turn, man.
Exactly. So Dyke at the time, Dyke and Dryden's main warehouse was actually on St. Louis Road.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So of course we weren't far from Broadwater Farm.
Yeah.
You know, anybody in that area knows how close Broadwater Farm. And so there was a lot of interest in terms of the community and its welfare. So Dyke and Dryden were significant supporters of, and of course, going further over more Hornsey, you had the African Caribbean Cultural Centre as well.
Right.
And Dyke and Dryden was significant supporters of that.
Is that the venue before you get to the clock tower on the left hand
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, just before the bridge.
That was another venue that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But so Bernie
Yeah.
Grant was really the power behind ensuring that that building was for the community and there was a legacy in terms of, you know, long term.
Right. Yeah, Bernie Grant again. You know, he was another person that I remember on Brunswick Road.
Yes, of course.
So, because a lot of meetings took place on Brunswick Road at Dolly Kiffin, my auntie Kiffin's house.
Of course.
And, you know, people like, you know, Martha, and there's so many.
Yeah, so you would know a young Classford Sterling then?
Listen, Classford, we remember when Classford came into the country.
Really?
Right? Yes, Classford. And my mum fell in love with Classford as soon as she saw Classford. Right? She said, I'm gonna make sure that them man don't trouble him, because they were bad company was pulling him left, right, and center. And my mum loved him, and my mum said, "Listen, come." And she took him under her wing, and now look at him today.
Yeah, you know, he's king of Broadwater Farm now, don't you?
He's been king of Broadwater Farm for a long time.
A long time.
Long time, Rudy. Long time. Not just now. Long time.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as I said, he could have gone two ways. He could have gone that way.
Yeah.
But he chose the other way, and he came out smelling like roses, as we said.
He's still, again, he's doing great work. Literally thousands of young people benefit from his football coaching, guidance, and even up to 3 months ago, we worked together on a program based at Broadwater Farm, focusing on community well-being, community health.
Yes.
What are the challenges our community face, but not only what we have to face, but how do we get over the challenges, and what do we do for ourselves, and what can we learn from the past, how the generations before us tackle some of the issues, you know. So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I mean, you know, I've always got time for him. Always got time for him.
Great. So, David, I'd like to move on to now your early working life. So, having gone through school, what did you decide to do?
After they kicked me out of the school, let's just say that
I was being diplomatic for you, David. I'm keeping.
I know. But, you know, it's like, you know, they couldn't answer the questions I had for them. I came from a radical family.
Yeah.
My family were freedom fighters, and you know, so my father's a Garveyite, and with, you know, and dealing with the 12 tribes and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And my mother was a freedom fighter. My mother was like, you know, Angela Davis, and you know, that's, you saw my mom. That's what that's what you saw. And mom taught me to basically say, look, open your mouth and talk. If you need to know anything, open your mouth.
Yeah.
Don't stand up there with your mouth closed and like, you know, make them just run you over. Talk. And so that's what I did. And then some certain teachers never liked it. I was a good boy, really. I was a good boy.
But you were asked to leave.
I was asked to leave. Because I asked too much questions. You believe that? Yeah, that's really what it was. I had early life. Hey, Mr. Williams. I ended up going. Let me just tell you. I went to Seven Sisters junior infant school first, and then I left Seven Sisters because I was asked to leave from there, and I went on to Lancasterian school, which I wasn't asked to leave there because I found my roots.
Okay.
I found a group of boys down at Lancasterian school that took me under their wing and said, right, from now on, your name is Hughes. And they called me Hughesy. That was my nickname. And so, you know, shout out to Scotty and Devon and all of them, like Hardy and all them guys. And I kind of like found my feet from the junior schools, and we all decided, we got together and said, right, we're going to the same senior school. But we all went to Tottenham County School, which was a newish kind of school at the time, progressive and that. It was like a mixed school, but we loved that, you know. And yeah, we went to, it was great going there because the teachers were a little bit more open and stuff. And Tottenham was a developing area. It still was. We had a boys' school right opposite called Somerset School, which was supposed to be the school of the bad boys. And you know, we made we had so much drama with them boys, and not me personally.
Of course not. Of course not.
I saw drama with them and boys trying to defend girls or whatever the case. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a great time, and I got a couple of memories that stand out. One is Mr. Williams, who is our music teacher. He just couldn't control us because in the music class, we're in the music class. There's about 20 students, and he's playing Mozart and Beethoven and all that kind of stuff. Which I understand. Obviously, I understand now that those are African artists.
Of course.
But at the time, yeah. But at the time, yeah, we can talk about that. But at the time, we weren't. I mean, we just had what we had in our homes growing up. So when he saw that I could control the class, he pulled me to one side. He said, "David, look, I'll tell you what. I'll do a deal. Control the class for the week, and I'll give you the class on a Friday.
Okay.
You have the turn. You got the record player, and bring in your records, and you can have your thing." So I said, "Right." I turned to the kids. And I went, "Stop! That's it. We got a gig. We got a gig." And so, lo and behold, we had all the students nice and peaceful, learn about Mozart and all that kind of stuff. And then on Friday, my mum gave me her record collection, and then that's when I started DJing. That's the first time I started to DJ. I was playing records in the classroom. All the other classes were jealous. And I remember a good friend of mine attaching a speaker and putting it outside the window, so it was playing in the playground. All the kids, and it was advanced.
Yeah, excellent.
And I remember that to this day. And you know, Tottenham School was full of talent. I mean, you're talking about. I mean, a guy walked past me with an afro, and I said, "Oh, mate," and he looked at me. I said, "You look like Michael Jackson." And the guy said, "Oh, thank you." That guy went on to become a part of a group called Links. His name's David Grant.
Yeah, of course.
Matthew and Fluxy, the number one reggae production team right now. I'm knocking for Leroy every morning, almost every morning, and I'm taking him and his brother to school. And we're all in the class, hanging out. Lloyd Brown, there's so much talent that came out of Tottenham area.
And Lloyd Brown is still making great music.
Yeah, you're talking about the groups like Tradition and
yeah, of course.
There's so many. So yeah, it was great growing up in Tottenham. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Okay, then. So having left your high school, the world of work. Where did you start?
Yeah, I fell into. I went because my mother taught me how to. She taught me how to cook at an early age. When all my other brothers were able to go and play football, when I said, "Mum, can I go play?" She said, "No, you come here. You stand up right here, so right here in the kitchen." And I thought this woman hated my guts. And she said, "Pass me a tomato, pass me." I'm vexed, and I'm like, she said she's tormenting me. And I told me I must get an onion. And she looked, "No, when you pick an onion, you feel it." And I'm like, why is she telling me that? She taught me how to cook.
Yeah.
And I cook to this day for friends and family. But when I left, I joined Trust House 40, a hotel, as a junior chef in Bayswater. And I was there for probably about 2 years, learning how, French salads and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Having a big I realized that was not my lifestyle. No head chefs are married. None of them. They ain't married. So it shows you their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so I left that. And I traveled to the Channel Islands with some friends from Liverpool. And I was there for a couple of weeks. And I was the kid that used to walk around with the boombox in the early days. I was a kid on the tube, on the bus, with the boombox, playing Roy Ayers or whatever. I was out there, Curtis Mayfield, all that kind of stuff. Loud. And I with me to Jersey. I probably played it on the flight as well. Yeah. And a young lady said to me, "Oh, my mother's looking for a DJ." So I said, okay, went along to meet Helen at a club called the Elysee Club in St. Helier in Jersey. And it started from there. She hired me. She was paying me some good money, £30 a night. It was like,
whoa. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I can buy some Giorgio Armani and all that kind of stuff. And, hey, so I remember remember saying to her, look, I ain't got no records and things like that. But she said, look, when do you want to start? I said, in a fortnight. She said, okay. But she gave me some money up front. I had to fly back to London to get my albums. And I came back and I saw a friend of mine called Dave Taylor. He was a bass player for a group called Savannah. I think his last name's Taylor. And him and Orphy and all those guys, I used to go and hang out and listen to them rehearse. Anyway, I told him what happened, and he said to me, well, Robbie Vincent is selling some records. So I said, okay. So he took me along, and there was Robbie Vincent, and he had some boxes of 12s in it. So I've still got some of the 12s with Robbie's names. I took those with me. Okay. Back to Jersey, and it was dropping some serious black music. And they never heard nothing like it before in their life, and they were loving it. Yeah. And so I was headhunted by another wine bar. I moved from the Elysee Club to a wine bar, and then from the wine bar, I went to a pub called Thackeray's, which one night I saw Dennis Thatcher standing up in the corner, and he wasn't friendly enough like that, but somebody said to me, oh yeah, it's his club. So, and I remember his son was running around as well, Margaret Thatcher's son and stuff. I didn't like that club too much, but they're trying to tell me what to play. I said, no, that ain't gonna work. So I left. But yeah, that's the early part of my DJing work. Okay. Came back to London, met a young lady, decided that was going to build a life, and started our own little businesses. Now, okay.
So this is the first time now you actually, as an entrepreneur now, doing your own.
Yeah. Okay. I love children's clothes. So I started a small little factory in a place called Ferry Lane, making couture clothing. I've got myself a little pattern cutter from Nigeria and all that kind of stuff. I was paying them, and we were making these nice little leather outfits and everything for these little babies in there. But no one would buy from us because we were the wrong color, wrong people, wrong whatever, wrong time. I don't know. But I then decided that I would then get myself a little shop and sell my own clothes. So a Jewish family who owned a jeweler shop on West Green Road for years. If you go down towards Body Music, before you get to Body Music, there's a travel agent on the corner, and there's a furniture shop opposite. Well, next to that furniture shop was a jeweler's. Okay. And I looked at, I don't know what told me to go in. I went in, and I said to the old man, what would you do if you wanted to sell this? He said, oh, I don't know. I said, do you think it's time for you to retire? He looked at me and said, hey, faced me like, where you come from? This thing's been running for generations and you're coming in. He goes, anyway, leave me your number and whatever. I said, okay. So, and he phoned me 2 weeks later. He said, are you serious about the shop? I said, yeah. He said, come see me. Went down, see him. We came to a price and I got that little shop. Brilliant. It's only a small place, but we got that. We started selling my clothing, but then all those clothing companies started knocking on the door. When they saw the way that we did the shop, my cousin came in and did that shop. Like I said, I want the shop to look like a shop in the West End. Yeah. Okay, no worries. And he did it. Perfect. And companies like Galipet, Kid OK, Comedy Mage, Bonbon, all these high-end clothing labels just turned up on my doorstep. So look, give you our clothes. And I went, yeah, sure. And so that's what we started doing. And we were the first couture babies clothing shop on West Green Road.
West Green Road.
Yeah. So then, so I couldn't keep still. That wasn't enough for me. So a friend of mine popped around and said to me, Dave, there's vinyl moving around. There's people are selling vinyl door to door and stuff like that. So they said they were going to introduce me. So I said, okay. So I met a guy called Robert from Zen Records. Big shout out to Rob. And he told me about what was happening with the whole rare groove movement and what was going on and stuff like that. So, he showed me things like the Leroy Hudson stuff and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, my father was in New York. I put two and two together. I decided to go down to New York on President's Day every February, which is where you get everything so cheap, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the record shops, buy up all of the man's stock for like $1 each. Buy the suitcases that you fit inside each other.
Yeah.
Right? I ain't taking no clothes, is what I'm wearing, and bringing back 20, Donald Byrds, stacks of albums. Sometimes the man saying, look, take the box, just take the box. He's had it under there for years, and sealed like super rare albums. So I started to learn about what had happened in the music industry with these artists, how they were thrown away to make room for rap music at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these artists, they passed on, they committed suicide, they became alcoholics. It was really sad.
Mm-hmm.
But we then loved the music. So we decided
the quality of the sound.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, albums like Don Blackman and and Weldon Irvin and stuff like that, Roy Ayers, of course, stuff like that was just reawakening us in the community. And Tottenham was the place of music. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. We are on the map.
You mean near to Harlesden, do you?
You see, really, you love cause trouble, Let me tell you something. I used to go, but I used to go down to, he's right. I used to go down to Lord Hughes down there on a Wednesday night. Yeah, back in the day. So Tottenham was like, it was just music everywhere. It was like pubs everywhere, parties everywhere. And so the children that came out of that, just they were just like music geniuses. And so I had a lot of the pirate station DJs coming into the shop. Oh, I opened the shop, by the way. Destiny Records on West Green Road, further down. Shout out to Mrs. Sam who
So where was Destiny Records then in relation to on the West Green Road?
Right. So if you pass, my first shop was Bambi's Children's Wear. So that's next to the corner there, that furniture shop. So walk past Bambi's, stay on the right hand side, walk past it, go underneath the bridge.
Yeah.
And then there's a pub on the corner.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, before the pub, that was Destiny Records.
Yeah. Because Dyke and Dryden started really 43 West Green Road.
So where was that?
So that's, if you're coming from the Seven Sisters station, it's just beyond the bridge.
Yes.
43 West Green Road.
Hold on. So you're walking up.
So coming from Seven Sisters.
Yeah.
On the opposite side, the same side as what Body Music was, and you keep walking down, then you've got the bridge, and just one or two shops there is where 43 West Green Road.
Right. Okay. I'm going to tell you a quick story about that. Okay. Because after my mother bought me a Beatles drum kit. So this going back, you show you how far back this is. All right. I'm in my infant schools, and they bought me a Beatles, and I love this drum kit. And she used to, every day after school, she used to say, "Come, let me take you to your cousin," or whatever she called him. So I thought, where's she taking me? So it was on top of Dyke and Dryden's shop.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, because I remember it's either Dyke and Dryden's shop or the one next door. It's one of them.
Yeah.
And you go through the green door, you go upstairs. My mum would disappear with the guy's mum, and I would go in his bedroom. And me and this guy would be playing, because he had a proper drum kit and I had a little Beatles thing, but we're playing along. Anyway, and we used to do that for a little while, and he's older than me, but I really enjoyed that. Anyway, years later, I'm watching the box, and I see the guy that I was playing drums with on top of the pop in a group called Light of the World.
Okay.
His name's Everton McCullough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's Everton. It was like crazy to know that he went on and to become this master drummer. And I was so proud of him. Again, West Green Road.
Yeah.
And so that was the story there. Yeah, but I'm sure Everton don't remember that story. But let him. When we see each other, I'll remind him.
He'll verify it.
Yeah, he'll verify it. But Everton McCullough was his mother and my mother were very good friends.
Yeah.
His brothers, I remember his brothers and Fritz and all them. So but that's a little story there. I'm sure his house was on top of Dyke and Dryden or next door.
Yeah. Right. So in a sense, then you were taking the music industry very serious.
Yes.
So I guess as well, with having so much music, there would have been a lot of DJs, artists who then maybe were at their early stages of their career in the industry.
Absolutely.
As well. And
Absolutely.
So what was your role? What was your role with some of those? Let us know.
Well, I fell into it because, of course, people were coming and buying directly from me. Well, I mean, I used to sell vinyl to Trevor Nelson.
Yeah.
When he used to work at a record shop in Stoke Newington there. Although Trevor, again, he wouldn't remember that, but you know, it's okay. We remember. And yeah, yeah, it was a situation where now I'm studying the music and I'm listening to, I'm getting white labels. People are bringing in demo tapes and things like this for me to listen. So now I'm falling into an A&R situation.
Yeah, of course.
And then that led me to close the shops because I'd gotten married and I was having children. So it's time now to get the bigger space and stuff. So we moved from out of Tottenham up to Hertfordshire. And we got a nice place then, and me and my new family were living there. So now I had to start in a different vein within music. And so what was the first project? The first project was a radio show. It was a radio show on a radio station called WNK.
Yeah, I remember WNK. Yeah, because in those days as well, there was always a big challenge to get a radio license. So I remember the campaign, and my good old friend who's passed now, Trevor Russell, you know, of Night Moves fame, was very much about that WNK situation.
Well, Joe was the guy that was the captain of that ship. WNK. Him and his wife, they did a fantastic job holding it together, holding the stuff. And we now what I did was I realized that, you know, I had been asked to do a show on Sky through a company called Afro International, where I'd learned how to play percussion. And then I was thrown into the deep end to do this weekly TV show to teach. And there's a photograph of me dressed in all the African outfit and the whole thing. Don't laugh, man. It's funny, man.
Chris, have you got that picture?
Yeah, you got to wear it, man. You got to wear this. So I started doing this show on Sky, and it was a weekly show. And from there, my then wife fell in love with media. She said, look, I really want to do this. So I said, okay, no problem. So I arranged for her to go and get some training in broadcasting. And I carried on doing what I was doing in the music until WNK came up and we did the breakfast show for WNK.
Yeah, I remember.
Obviously, my then wife, she was the presenter of the show, but I was the guy behind all of it, the music, the content, the whole thing. I know. A shout out to one of them guys, Mystery and Calvin Francis, and
they've all gone on to be, you know, done a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it was a powerhouse.
Choice FM, basically.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's right. It was a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Mystery, I need my album back, man. The album going. The Pink Panther album, man. You think I haven't forgotten? Anyway. So anyway, you can't find it. Yeah. So yeah, it was. I kind of like kept myself. Mark Ross, that's another name. It was part of that. Trevor Sachs, of course. So there was WNK was a powerhouse, and I stayed in the background. I always stayed in the background because I loved my children. So I wanted to be heavily involved in raising them. So I was always with them. But you know, writing, editing, producing, doing all that kind of stuff in the background. And then of course, my training coming up in the sound systems and all that kind of stuff. It you know, you couldn't walk into a dance with a camera.
Yeah.
All right, you remember, Rudy. You remember, man, come here, everybody's like this.
There's a lot of suspicion of people with cameras.
Yeah. There was for some reason, our people was like, no, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Kind of
them days they used to talk about Outformer, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I am. You know, where I live, I lived on White Hart, a road called Church Road. Right opposite is White Hart Lane. So I grew up right underneath Tottenham football grounds. I there's no way. I know getting out of it. Okay, I was there. Yeah. And I used to walk up Park Lane. There's a road called Park Lane.
Yeah, of course.
I used to walk up Park Lane, and right at the beginning of Park Lane, 2 or 3 doors, I used to hear this proper sound coming out of the house. It's reggae music, it's rootified, and the door was always open. And so one day I just fast with myself, and I went in there. I must have been about 11. I walked in, and I saw these powerful looking men, black men, with some gabichi and some thing and they had some shoes with some silver tip.
Yeah, I remember that.
With some gold tip on it, right? And they had that sharp. And I'm like, I'm seeing the natty dread and things like that. I'm like, this is new to me. Anyway, one of them said, yes, you, come in, man, come in. Just really, you know, just keep quiet and stand up and learn. Yeah. And so after a while, I kept going there. I told my mum, and my mum said, all right, yeah, I know them. So you're all right, but make sure you come in. Don't leave it too late. So I used to go there, pop in there whenever I could. And I'm listening to them, I'm watching them build the sound system. Anyway, one day they said, like, they're playing out. They said, come with us. They lift up the box there. And I was like, okay, I didn't think too. I just went straight in. And I'm lifting the boxes. And I guess I did a good job, because they said to me, yeah, come back tomorrow and come back Saturday, that kind of thing. Anyway, so I didn't. So in one of the dances, I looked on the box and I saw Scrap Iron. The name Scrap Iron on the box. I said, I wonder what that is. That the name of the sound? They said, yeah, that's the name of the sound system. So Scrap Iron was the first sound system that I kind of came up under, if you like. I remember I stayed with them, you know, for a good couple of years, because they moved from Park Lane up to Stoke Newington. And they were in a place, it was right opposite Ridley Market, that road opposite Ridley Market, on your right-hand side. Because I used to go down there, I remember it well. And there was this big, chubby black man that used to run everything down there. He used to look at you and talk very soft and say, okay, young man, what are you doing here? It's okay, well, all right, so you're hungry? Okay, well, we're cooking some corned beef and rice or thing. So I was like, wow. And they used to call this man Pastor Morris.
Okay.
That was Pastor Morris, legendary Pastor Morris. And he had a place where Scrap Iron used to keep their speakers and things like that. So, you know, I was in amongst it, and they didn't dismiss me because I was young, because I knew how to hold my space and keep quiet. So my point is that I learned the kind of culture of the sound system. Like, number one rule, be cool. And if you want to know more about the other rules, you have to tune in at another time. You have to be cool.
Absolutely.
You can't go in the dance and going on with food. No. Hold your space. So it was nice. Scrap Iron and of course I went on to carry boxes for like Jabones, City Dread, God rest his soul. City Dread was the Rasta sound that I used to go along and think. And I think 1 or 2 times he used to give me the mic, and I did a little something. That kind of. And Jabones was the Rasta sound that I kind of was part of. So that's my sound system kind of connection.
Okay, so obviously you were still under the Destiny record. So what was your next big step, and what were your big achievements for you at around?
It was WNK Radio, and then from there, when they lost the license, that and London Greek Radio took over, I think.
That's right.
We then we hooked up with a company called ABBA Securities. There was a security guard, and a Caribbean security guard firm, which was fairly unusual back then. And we got talking with them, and they agreed to sponsor a series of magazine-style programs that we call magazine-style programs. And we put together a show called Ebony Eye. It was a weekly magazine show. And we just told the stories of Black British talent. And we had everyone on that show, Rudy, everyone from a young Omar to the brand new heavies. Everybody was there. All the reggae artists, and Paulette Taja and Smiley
and what platform did that come out?
Right now, there was cable had just shown up in London at that time, and attached to one of the cable channels was a company called BET.
BET, yeah, I remember it very well.
Yeah, right. Look at BET.
I appeared on there a number of times, so yeah. I remember.
Right, there you go. Well, they were very accommodating because their offices was in Ladbroke Grove. Yeah. In the tall building, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to go up there, see all the machines, and see how they were editing and cutting and stuff. And they hosted our shows, and that ran for a little while. We had a good little run on that. I mean, as I said, everyone from Galliano, big shout out to Michael Snaith, and all of the young disciples, all that early stuff. We had on the show, and then we had other people like Darcus Howe and Haley Garema. We crossed over, not just music, but we did political. So it was a great time. Again, no one knew that I was behind all of that, but I was the one that was behind all of it, the whole thing. But everyone saw,
of course.
Yes. So
what was your connection with Kiss FM? Because obviously Kiss FM was coming up on its way up before it got its life.
After Ebony Eye, we went on to do some other little shows, VH1. We did a gospel show called The Alpha Zone. And we did, that was for Channel 5. And we did little bits and pieces and stuff like that. And then I drifted from that because I traveled. I went to Holland and Germany and those places. And I was meeting up with artists and people like that. And I was in the studio one night with a guy called Papa Bear in Holland. And he played me something. And when I heard it, I thought, wow, this is like unreal. They sounded American because obviously the rapper was, I found out. But I just didn't expect that. And so I came back to London with the master tape and decided to set up a little office in Edmonton. One desk, one fax machine, one coffee maker, one thing. I think I had a little pool table a little miniature pool table in the corner there. And I called a good friend of mine who was connected to all of the major underground stations. Shout out to Leonard. And I said to Leonard, look, I had 20 white label copies of this track. I said, look, get it out there for me. And he said, don't worry, cuz, leave it with me. So he put the track out, and my rent was due in the office. I couldn't afford it. I didn't have any money in the bank. I went up to the bank manager. I said, I need a little loan. He said to me, David, how are you going to make money from selling this record? So I said, look, and I explained it to him. I said, if you get signed, I'm going to get a check. Like, he goes, they really pay? I said, yeah, they pay like 40 grand for, stuff. He went, okay. All right, well, I'll give you a little bit of an overdraft facility, but that's it. And so I got that, and I was just surviving until, the only thing I did was I wrote my telephone number on that white label, nothing else. And got a phone call from someone called Bob Jones, Kiss FM. Bob goes, are you the guy behind this Triple D and Channel 1 track? So I went, who's this? He said, Bob Jones. I went, yeah, well, I said, how do you know about it? He said, no, it's number one. He says number one on there was a magazine called Blues and Soul at the time. Yeah. So it was number one in Blues and Soul charts. It was number one. I was in this office with no radio, no nothing, wondering how I'm going to pay my rent, and my track is number one. So he goes, let me come and see you. So Bob Jones got in a taxi, and he was in my office for like 15 minutes, it seemed like. And Bob came into the office, sat on the chair in front of me, and just started talking about him and his girlfriend's problem. He was like chatting about him and his girlfriend. I'm sitting there like, this man, I want to know what deal we're going to be doing. He's complaining about this girl. He's complaining and complaining. He sat with me for like 2 hours in the office. I said, Bob, do you want a coffee? You want a drink or something? He said, yeah, mate, I'll have a cup of tea. Made a cup of tea. He's chatting away. And then he goes to me, you know what you should do? At the end of all of that, he said, you know what you should do with that track? Give it to Mickey. So I went, who's Mickey? So Mickey D. So I went, okay, where's Mickey? So Mickey's at Warner's. So I said, okay. So called Mickey's office. His secretary said, yeah, he's expecting you. I went down to Warner Brothers and I walked into the office. I saw Mickey and Mickey saw me. He was like, I know you. I know you. I know you. I know you. Yeah. So Mickey used to work at a record shop in South London.
Yeah.
Just go in there. Got the name of the shop now. Anyway. And he loved the track. It was Triple D in Channel 1, I Need Your Love. And he signed it to Warner's. And I went back to my bank manager with the letter and the check. And it blew his mind. He said, and so that was the start of my A&R career and stuff like that. And so Triple D in Channel 1 was produced by Papa Bear. Because of that deal, Papa Bear got signed to Universal. And then so I got a call from Universal saying, you've been, your name's been put forward to be the MD for Booyah Records, Hamburg, Germany. Do you know anything about this? I said, nope. They said, okay, well, we'll send you a letter. I got the letter and said, you're now the MD for Booyah, which is the hip hop label coming out of Germany. And they sent me a check.
I remember the name.
An office. Now I can get a PA.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And and then it started. My journey in the music industry started from there.
So
Booyah Records was the premier soul R&B label in Germany. We're talking about Tony Katura, Papa Bear, Alex Prince, Marcus Anthony. So many. There's so many. Craig Smart. There was so many. And it was amazing. It was amazing. Shout out to Bernd Schmidt, the boss of Booyah, who gave me the job. So amazing man.
So you mentioned Universal. So you must have come across Tony Scully Cooper at some point.
Yeah. I did a few times, and there's a few others as well.
Still around.
Yeah. Tony. I mean, it was busy. I mean, I remember us doing the Dyke and Friday Afro Hair and Beauty show as well back then as well. And we flew over the artists. The artists came and did a performance live. It was incredible. But I don't think London was ready for, because we had, obviously over here we had Mark Morrison, Gabrielle, Shola Ama. We had all of those artists coming up, and obviously Young Disciples, Brand New Heavies. It was like we were smashing it.
Yeah,
it was just like the days back in the day when we were teenagers. Like the World, Second Image, Savannah,
High Tension,
Paul Hardcastle, Shack Attack. All these, we had so much in coming out in the UK. It was crazy.
Great talent.
We're just surrounded by it. So it was a great time for Booyah Records at that time, and I was doing that.
No, it's great. And when you think of that from a soul perspective, and then look at the whole UK lovers rock, I mean, that's
just amazing.
Talent.
Amazing.
Music industry.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, again, what can you say? I mean, it was, even today, I was going through my Tradition collection, and one album that they had one album that just had, I don't know, every track was a hit. Breeze In, all these tunes on it. It was just like amazing.
And the songs represented the times. Think of Sticksman.
Sticksman. That tune, I swear, that still makes me laugh today. Sticksman. Yes. I'm in love with a dreadlock.
Yeah.
Black Skin Boy.
Yeah.
Caught You in a Lie. I mean, they're like anthems that never had their true day. I mean, these would have blown if they weren't the blockages within the so-called you know what I'm saying. Those records would have become, because look at that, the ones that they did let through have become anthems, like City Games,
and they always got to the top of the charts. But such is life. So, we are where we are.
We would have taken over the whole of the music industry.
Well, that was the whole idea.
Even Sugar Miner come over with OK Fred, and we was like, no, it was a Sugar Miner, not a Sugar Miner. Errol Dunkley. Yeah. OK Fred. I mean, these songs blew up. Money in My Pocket, Dennis Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, these are anthems, serious stuff.
Yeah.
And wasn't given the recognition that deserved. So so yeah, we were kind of a bit. It kind of held us back a little bit, knowing that even though we were so talented, we weren't going to get the doors open.
That was just the reality of its time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We lived
I'm still very proud of like groups like Mafia and Fluxy. And all the others that have gone on.
Because people still managed to achieve.
Yes.
That was the most important thing.
Yeah.
It was that achievement that we can be proud of.
That's right.
So
yes.
Yeah. So David, who would you say were the mentors that you can kind of name? Like, say, I can say Mr. Dyke and Mr. Dryden.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
my
be
mentors. My mentors. My mother, Rose Bridges, was at the top of the list. I got so much knowledge from her. I mean, I remember she said to me, right, you're in charge of the turntable. We had an old decagram, TV in the middle, the turntable at the bottom, radio on the top. And you close the doors at the front.
Exactly. Yeah, I can see it.
My mom had a little collection of sevens, and she said, right, she said, David, put on something.
Jim Reeves.
And I had to make sure I'm putting on the right tune to fit the right mood for the right time. So I can't be putting on Ken Booth, Everything I Own, when mum's ready to kind of shake a leg. She was, you know what I'm saying? She wants 007. Okay, right, Desmond Decker. Or, My Boy Lollipop. She wants to shake her foot. So I learned the skill of knowing what people want to hear and what they, that kind of thing. And so mum was my first influence. Second influence is one of my brothers and sisters. My oldest brother, one of my oldest brothers, used to actually play a sound system called Sir D's. Big shout out to my brother Fritz.
Yeah,
and big shout out to Sir D's as well. He's still going strong. I saw a photograph of my brother once, a black and white photograph with him with a microphone in his hand like that. And I thought, what is that? What's he doing? So then they explained, it's a sound system he's playing. I'm like, and I saw the, and you guys, if you want to see photos, don't worry, Chris is going to tell you where you can go and see these photos and stuff. They're iconic photos. But so again, and then I remember it was my birthday and we bought this album. They had a compilation album that came out called Sold Out. I don't know if you remember them. K-Tel was a company. They used to bring out these albums called Sold Out. And on these albums, you had everyone from the Staple Singers to Barry White to Gloria Gaynor to it's like 20 tracks. And so that was my introduction to soul music. And of course, don't forget, I'm growing up on the streets of Tottenham with my boys from the reggae world and my boys from the soul world. Okay, now they're like, you can't mix the two.
Exactly.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It's just like sound systems. When another sound system is busting up another one, so all of a sudden the sound system switch off, and you don't know what's happened. Someone's going to cut the wires.
We used to wonder why, what was going on. But what used to amaze me in those days is that when the guys used to be, following the wire back, through up on the wall, up on the ceiling, everything, back to the speakers. To this day, I'm still amazed the technology and the skill that was, you know, for them guys to do that.
Tell me about it.
And they knew they had to get it back up and running, given the crowd paid their money. We've all paid good money to get in. Fantastic. And just the guys who used to build the amps. I used to
the guys that, well, them guys from one of the sound systems, I don't call the sound system name, but one day he told me to come with him, right? And these guys are bigger than, obviously bigger than me. It's like we're walking and we got up on the train tracks.
Yeah.
There's like 4 men and me. We're like walking along the train tracks.
Yeah.
And we've gone up some steps and then we've gone down the platform, way down the platform. And then they told me, right, stand up there, look, make sure nobody ain't coming. And one climb up the pole and unscrew the tannoy. And the tannoy is like this big. I mean, some big tannoys. I'm unscrewing the tannoys, and then a couple days later, that's on the sound system on the top there in a box. And the sound is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like you said, the techniques and the technology, how they learned that.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Some of them boxes, I've got speaker boxes in my collection that I've kept from those days. I've managed to buy some from people who sold their sound systems.
Yeah.
And kept some of the speakers. I mean, you can't lift those boxes, and they're nowhere near as big as what we used to lift. They're small ones, but they're solid.
Yeah.
But yet the way they were built, amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It's yeah, you got to take your hat off to them.
Definitely. So who else then? So you mentioned your mother. Who else sort of professionally would you say, you know, this person was a real mentor to you in that business world, which we know can be challenging, in, you know, and just help open doors, but showed you the way and what you needed to do in certain environments in order to get what you need.
It's wow, there's so much people in the early days. I mean, when I had my shop, I always used to spend time with a man called Knox, who he was part of a bookshop on West Green Road. You know the bookshop on West Green Road?
What, Head Start?
Head Start.
Yeah,
of course.
So there's a guy, Pepper Kai.
Okay.
Pepper Kai is a key guy because,
in
fact, I first, as you mentioned that shop, I first came across that shop because when I was, as I said, I was at 93 West Green Road.
Yeah.
Right opposite is West Indian World at the time, upstairs. So I just happened to be walking along and I thought, oh, there's a black bookshop. So I went in there, and that's where I first learned about Marcus Garvey, the African mystery systems, and all that kind of thing from Head Start on West Green Road.
Yeah. Message to a Black Man.
Everything is in there. All the
there's so much stuff that came out of there. Sex and Race, all those books. I mean, first time I'm seeing a black queen, you know.
Exactly.
I'm like, huh? I'm like,
yeah.
But you just jogged my memory on something. My mum took me to a building in Green Lanes.
Right.
Where you got a roundabout, big roundabout, Green Lanes.
Yes. On
the left-hand side, there's a building. You go in there, and that was West Indian World.
Okay.
And I used to sell newspapers.
Okay.
To them.
Really? Okay.
At Seven Sisters Tube Station.
Yeah.
I think I was selling for 2p or 10p or 1p or something like that. I don't know. But they gave me the papers for free.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my first little hustle as a young boy.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, so that was West Indian World. Iconic.
Yeah.
So other people, there's like Knox is one. As I said, Jabons from City Dread always used to call me to one side, always give me some nuggets of wisdom, stuff like that. There's the crew that I used to run around with, that little group of boys that I used to run around with in Tottenham. You know, shout out to Tony and Carol and and Paul and Davis, just that little crew. And that little crew, I learned so much from running around with them.
So you would have come across Count Shelley before body music moved into that.
Well, I did, but Count Shelley was more my dad's friend.
Yes,
but,
yeah, that generation before
yeah,
us.
I don't think I went to Count Shelley.
I remember the shop being there, and then I can't remember what it was called.
Right.
Before it became Body Music. And
okay.
Body Music was in
You're right.
You're
right. You're right. I can't remember the name either.
Yeah.
I think that would have.
Because I think it was a record label name at the time. I can't. Because I'm not sure if his record label was called Attack or something like that. I just remember it being yellow with red writing.
Okay. Yeah. You might be, I can't. I only remember. I remember Body Music when it started.
Yeah.
Because my mother was part of the law center. She was part of all of those things.
Okay.
So we used to go down. I remember seeing this brand new record shop on the corner. But that was it. I tell you, the shop that I used to go into with my brothers, and that was a record shop in Stamford Hill called Rita's, which was she was a white woman who sold reggae music. Rita.
Okay.
So I remember that shop.
Yeah.
She's an icon. That's an iconic shop in our community, in the history of reggae music.
Yeah,
in this
really?
country.
That's interesting. So, having spoken about mentors, which are important, so just tell us about some of the people who you have given opportunity to, because obviously this is all about helping to make it better, having received support that we think about how can we make it better for others.
Well, I mean, my relationship with a lot of the people that worked with me within the production side of things, like that. So I know a lot of young people. A lot of people came to me for work, and I employed some people, and they went on to do bigger things. I mean, I remember Sherwin Beckford, who was behind the Lick, and now he's quite prominent in broadcasting or whatever. I haven't seen Sherwin in years, but Sherwin. I remember when Sherwin came down on the train and joined us at Ebony Eye and worked in those early days. Patrick Colesweat, who's Patrick is like a musician who's always been tightly linked to a lot of the music industry stuff. And Patrick was part of my team. I think I wouldn't remember. There's so many people. I mean, it's like I got a shout out to Pansy and Fletch, who used to run Destiny for me and stuff like that. And then some of the younger guys coming up. My son went into the business, and he got a name. He got a name for himself in that area, and through him he helped a lot of people. I remember him saying one day, "Oh, Dad, I want you to come to a video shoot. There's a young guy that I want to help him. I think, let's try and help him." I said, okay. So I went with them. It was over in South London somewhere, and I met the young man, and he said, "Oh, Uncle, you all right?" I said, "Yeah." I said, I gave him some word of advice, and he took it on board. And now he's called Wretch 32. Wretch 32. Hey, so I'm happy. I'm happy for him. I'm happy. Wretch 32. There's a young man who I call my nephew. When he was little, I used to take him with me to the markets on a Saturday. I used to have a record stall up in a market called The Waste in Dalston, and I used to sell vinyl records and things like that. And so this young man, I saw something special in him from as he was little, and I said, "Yeah, you come with me." And he came with me. He used to come every Saturday morning, help me lift, and he went on to have his music career. Now, I understand. I heard that he won a BAFTA the other day.
Really?
For his work with Big Nasty or something. I don't know. His name's Jason Onesey. Shout out to you, Jason, my nephew. There's so many. There's quite a few. And I can't remember everyone. But
you've done your bit. You've played a role in clearing the pathway for successive generations. That's the main thing.
Yes.
So David, just as we come to kind of like the last area, so
And so what are your future plans for 2023 and beyond now?
Well, this is where I bring in Chris, because we've done a lot in our careers. I think mine is 40 years now.
Yeah,
doing this. So there's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories, a lot of stuff to be told. There's a lot of nuggets to be shared. Not only the vast record collection that we've got, which there is some killer stuff in there that, you know, just like the world needs to start hearing. Some of the rarest stuff that we have in our collection. We've got that. I went on to working with Tom Shadyac and Jim Brubaker in Los Angeles. I moved to Los Angeles around 1999, and gate crashed Smokey Robinson's house. That's for another podcast. And Smokey wasn't too happy with me for that. But out of that evening, I got to meet what you want to call the Black Hollywood elite. Yeah, some great people. So, you know, Hammer, MC Hammer, and those guys, and all the actors and stuff like that, who I'm still in contact with today. I mean, Shaka Khan and all these people. They're just great. They treat me so well.
Yeah.
And so, you know, with that history of, you know, of what the industry is about and what's happened, what happens, you know, we've got a lot to share. And so we've got a team together. And Chris, you want to?
Yeah, no, I'm saying, I'm just smiling listening to him, because there's so much more to the story. You know what I mean? So much more. So what we're really doing now is we're putting together the complete story. Yeah. So, all the bits that you might have missed, and there's so much more we're putting together for the people. Yeah. When we put that story together, what we want to do with that is want to create a book.
Yeah.
Of course, some people can read his story. Some people, you know, they like to read more than hear, if that makes sense. Yeah. So we put together a book with that. That book will then stem into us creating a little movie.
Something visual,
Just a short movie of David Lawrence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a story to be told there. That interaction.
Absolutely.
Many other kinds of stories as well. I mean, it's
of course, and the story leads down so many avenues. But I mean, the major point of actually putting that story together is something you said about giving back.
Right.
Yeah. We are actually creating what we would call a youth academy.
Yeah.
The youth academy is going to help some of the youth to really understand. We're going to use what's in David. We're going to take all the information out of it.
Yeah.
Put it into a story, put it into a book, put it into a small movie, put it into a documentary as well. The reason we want to put it into a documentary is because in the movie, we're going to touch on some areas.
Yeah.
We're going to, you know, show some artifacts and some things that David collected along the way. Yeah. So the reason we're going to do the documentary is so that we can really now pick and really show you where they come from, what they're about, and what we really want to do with them. Does that make sense?
No,
that's the actual documentary itself.
Yeah, that's a visionary approach, and again, it's something that we have to do ourselves. We always have to do ourselves.
100%. 100%. You know, and saying that as well is because the reason why we want to do an academy for the youth is because we understand that the young youths out there, they've got so much pressure on them, peer pressure. They're looking for belonging. What we found is that a lot of them are actually looking for belonging.
And Chris, you made a great point there, and I'll tell you why. Because next year is Windrush 75, and David, we've spoken about this, and the importance of that 75, what that means.
Yes.
Now, in this country, up until 1897, the 75 or the 75th was regarded as a really important landmark.
Right.
And it was always known as a Diamond Jubilee celebration. So that's why we've actually adopted that as saying 2023 is us, the Windrush generation, and the children of the Windrush generation, which is obviously our generation. And then, of course, we've now got our children, and some of us have got grandchildren. When I look at some of my brothers, you know, they've got grandchildren. So again, that story, this cultural communication, and that's what we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
Essential for our generation, because
very much so.
We're in the middle, because either some of us were born in the Caribbean or we were born here.
Yeah.
So we understand the first generation, our parents' generation, who had actually come from the Caribbean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then of course, but our children and grandchildren kind of really know us as being born here in the context of here, not necessarily the Caribbean, unless they were fortunate enough to have a grandparent who they were with all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the context of this country, that would be very far between, very few far between would have that experience.
Yes. Yeah.
So what we've got to say is really important,
I can tell you, we've on listening to David's story and understanding his story and knowing his story, I know 100% that getting that story out to the masses in the right media is going to do nothing but give a lot of value to the young kids coming up now. You know what I mean? And like I was saying before, they're out there looking for belonging.
Absolutely.
They're looking, to belong to something. And within our youth academy, we've got, a number of programs.
Yeah.
For instance, we've got a program which is called Be Do Have. Okay, the Be Do Have program, which is one of David's major programs, is kids out there. Basically, what they do is they do something.
Yeah.
Okay, to have something.
Yeah.
To feel that they be somebody.
Excellent.
And what we're doing is we're saying, no. You be somebody before you leave home.
Yes.
Okay? So we're teaching these kids that, listen, before you leave home, you are someone. You are someone of value. You are a leader. You're not a follower. Mm-hmm. That means when you go out on the street now, because you already be, you're now doing from your being. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Therefore, you will have from your doing, from your being. See what I'm saying? Those are the sort of programs that we're building,
Yeah.
Helping them to understand their mindset as well. One of the major parts of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what we would say in this area is, again, with young people, and we all know because we were there ourselves, and people like me would not be here now if it wasn't for a Dyke and Dryden saying to me at 22 years old, we're paying for you to go to Atlanta. Come back and put on a show like the Americans do, which resulted in Afro Hair and Beauty, which everybody knows. They've been there at least once in their lives. So what we say is it's about your attitude, your aspiration, and it's about attainment.
Yeah.
But what we have to put in place, this generation before, is there's 3 principles that we say: young people need somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Young people need something to do.
Yeah.
Young people need someone to show them how.
Yeah. Sure.
That's always been the case, generationally.
Yeah, I love that.
And it never changes. And what you're describing is exactly what we're talking about. Hope, strength, belonging are the 3 words that we're using for next year.
Of course. And one of the major things as well within the project, within the Youth Academy, is what you said is absolutely on point. What we want to do is peel it back a little bit further, because a lot of them have never been taught how to think.
Yes.
Imagine this.
Yeah.
They've been taught how to think.
Mm-hmm.
They've been taught, why did I think that when that happens to me? You know what I mean? They haven't been taught that they actually have a choice. They say, no, I don't have a choice. You not having a choice is a choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what we're teaching them is, let's pull back how you're thinking, your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your conscious mind. Listen, we've got a program that really explains to them exactly how it is. Therefore, before they leave home, all this up here is the first place that is really taught.
Yeah.
Because we've got a saying that says the first enemy is the enemy.
No, absolutely. I like the sound of that, because we describe that as, we talk about the 21st learning and skills, 21st leadership skills. So we describe that as collaboration, creativity, communication, critical thinking, exactly as you said. And as we know, and David has kind of described that as well, it's only through creativity, unity, reaching a consensus, that you're able to solve the most complex and difficult problems and issues.
Absolutely. And we love that. And for us as well, what we've actually understood is the foundation of all of that is how you are thinking. Does that make sense? No matter what you do, no matter where you go, the foundation of it is how you're thinking, how you start off thinking. And then let me take it even deeper. It's how you're thinking about how you're thinking.
No, absolutely. And then, and you're right. And then how we frame it as well, because as you know, the conceptual framework is important.
Yeah.
Is what we say is respect and inclusion are the common ground for all of us,
yes,
regardless of background and or status.
Yes, absolutely.
Very true.
Absolutely.
Very
Because again, because we don't know, we're going to come across all different people of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And they may be the very ones that come from a different background to us.
Of course.
Who, again, going back to what David was saying, can lead you into a direction or into an opportunity that you need to seize.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what's the best way to be able to seize that is making sure that you understand what's happening.
Exactly.
When you have an experience, remember that's all it is, an experience.
Mm.
And the moment you finish having the experience, it no longer exists. That means it should no longer have an input in the way you emotionally move forward.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It can do. You have the ability to understand it and allow it to or not allow it to. But those are sort of some of the things that we're building in the project. You know, as I said, we want to do like the story, we want to do the book, we want to do a movie with David, just really explaining where he is, the documentary. Then we want to do a museum and events. The museum is going to have the artifacts and the stuff that David's collected over the years.
Mm.
We could show you how many stuff David's got that he's collected from within his music to just across life in period, Black history, whatever it may be. He's collected so many stuff. We want to put that museum together. A couple of effects, which then we like to hopefully lead into, of course, an e-commerce store so you can actually obtain some bits. Good thing about that, what we're doing with the e-commerce though, is we're going into where we're going now. We're going into this the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
So the monetary system and all that's kind of changing.
Yeah.
You know, you had the NFTs, you know what I mean? The crypto. So what we're doing is with the actual e-commerce, and when you come to the museum, we're going to create a coin for it. So when you want to obtain one of the artifacts or anything at all, you have to transfer your fiat currency into that coin. Then you're able to obtain X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
That's where we're going as a people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? We're looking to do that 100%. And then I think most importantly as well is the academy is also just doing a little stage show. So we can now get people involved that really feel this, really, you know, it's like being there now.
Yeah.
You know, being there, watching the story, being in the story and experiencing the story. Those are the kind of things that we're
excellent. And
we're gonna do all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
this is the final point. Just 8 points. The first point is the story, then the book, then the movie, the documentary, the museum, e-commerce store, stage show, and then of course the Youth Academy. The Youth Academy is going to be the crux of everything.
Yeah.
Everything's going to lead towards the academy.
Yeah, that's the cornerstone, isn't it?
That's legacy. That's what it's about.
I love I love what I'm seeing with the young people today, Rudy. I love it. I'm seeing some great energy out there. I'm seeing some super talented young people out there. I'm so proud of them. And you know, they fought through the odds just like we did.
Yeah, no, I absolutely,
Yeah.
I've seen some young talent.
Yeah, and
you put them into leadership straight away. I'd say,
absolutely,
you're the leader now, and that's
they've been.
You know.
Well, you know the situation. I remember. I'll just quickly point out one observation. I remember one day in Destiny Records, a man called Tony Monson, a well-known guy in the music fraternity in the family. He's the owner of Solar Radio. Well, Tony's everyone knows. Tony is music. He's music, and he used to come around every week and I buy records from him. And he gave me an album by a woman called Gwen Guthrie. Okay.
Okay.
And I said, "Oh, who Gwen Guthrie?" So I found the CD, I flung it on and put it on, and there was a couple of tracks on it I liked. I went, "Okay, yeah, give me a couple of copies."
Yeah.
A woman walked in about 2 weeks later and said, "Have you got Gwen Guthrie?" So I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, I love that. Could you play the tune for me?" So I played the tunes that I liked on it. She went, "No. That's not it. That's not the one." She goes, "Flip it over." Turned it over. She goes, "Track number 2." So I put the track number 2, and the track was ain't nothing going on but the rent. And this girl and her friends was dancing around in the shop, and it was this anthem, and I thought, what is going on? And then I got another album from Tony Monson. Again, these are new albums that are coming out by a young lady by the name of Janet Jackson.
Okay.
And seal it, open it up, right? Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis production, blah, 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 proper funk and all that kind of stuff. On the track, what have you done for me lately? So there was this, I mean, what the hell's going on? The shift, the music shifted, and it was starting to influence our community. And our women, the women in our community started to say, you know what? We don't need him anymore.
Yeah.
We can go get our file of facts.
You remember No Scrubs?
No Scrubs. Hey, okay. It was, I'm thinking to myself, Rudy, what? We're under attack. It was orchestrated. So I know it's funny and we laugh, but unfortunately, a lot of families broke up. A lot of Black families broke up around that time. So about the 1980s, around that sort of time. And so a lot of young people grew up without their fathers in the house. Okay. And so hence the reason why there was that disconnect between fathers and their sons later on in the generation. So we don't want that to happen.
Of course.
Again, we want to try and reconnect the generations if we can. Not so much their fathers, but their children. You know, the 6-year-olds, the 7-year-olds. We want to reconnect with them and say, look, you know, look at what your grandparents used to do. Look what that's us.
Absolutely, because I've been saying now that we got to focus on the 10-year-olds, the 12-year-olds.
Yeah, there you go.
About 3 weeks ago, I did some workshops for about 120 youngsters between 12 and 14.
Great, that's great.
And again, it was around the Windrush, and the basic question to them was, what does hope, strength, and belonging mean to you as an individual?
Right.
And you know, some great comments, but going back to some of the things that you were saying before, Chris, about what you need to do about the attitude of mind, and to be able to concentrate and understand that, you know, your attitude and behavior is an essential part of you seizing the opportunities in this world. You know?
Yeah, you know the saying where they say your attitude determines your altitude, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's fine. But we also want to peel it back. So even what you said is really good. Up to a certain age, the DDD, as in Discover, Develop, Deploy, that program is only up to 16-year-olds. We've got another program after that for 16 and above, which is Reset Your Hard Drive. But that's something we can't even go into right now because that's got a lot of content in it. Just to back up what you're saying, absolutely, we are dealing with up until that age group. We're not saying, there's a saying that says, give me the ball until you're 7 and you'll say the man. Because there's a reason for that. The reason is because in between the ages up to 7, from 0 to 7, those kids, their brains are in what's called a theta brainwave state, which is a programming state. So up until that age, all that's happening is they are being programmed.
Of course.
See what they hear, what they feel, what they taste. It's all programming. You know, we had a discussion with someone the other day, and we were with a group of people, and we was explaining to them. And one of the things we were saying is like, how many of you, realize that your 7-year-old child is making your decisions today? These are adults. They don't realize all the decisions they're making today is because the 7-year-old child is making the decision. Because they've been programmed so deep that the premises of their decision making is from that 7-year-old child. Does that make sense? So, like you said, 100%, we are going back to the smallest of the smallest and helping them to be reprogrammed into understanding that they make the decision.
Exactly. We've got to give those late teens, early 20s years old leadership, support.
Yes.
They've got the talent.
They've got super talented.
It's the mindset.
The support and ensure
because
the pathway is cleared for them.
Yeah. So now we have to change their mindset. Hold on a minute. It really is. When they say, there's nothing below your feet until you step out, and all of a sudden something appears. We have to teach them that that's true for them. You know what I mean? No matter what they see out there, just keep walking. It will appear.
No, absolutely. And I know we've turned into a motivational session. I think it's important because the other important thing in the world that we've come from in terms of our generation, and then the world that this new generation have come into, the reality is there will always be people who have what we recognize as having the morale and motivation regardless of the environment that they're in. And it's those who we're thinking about in their 20s who you can give that support to, because they've got the drive, they've got the vision already. It's just, you know, that pathway being clear, and the mentoring in terms of this is what you're going to meet in these different environments, you know, things like that.
And
so what you're saying is good stuff.
And how they can navigate through it.
Navigate and leverage.
That's what the academy is all about. It's all about everything that was said. That's what the main element of the academy is, to teach, to show you, to bring out what's inside of you. You know what I mean? Not to educate you, because we can't educate you.
Exactly.
Every single thing that you need is already in you. We can't educate you. All we can do is pull out what's inside of you. Matter of fact, the word education means it's yuku, which is to lead, to pull out and to lead. It's not to put anything in. You know what I mean? We've realized that. We're sat together for many, many hours, and I'm really excited. I'm excited with what he's got to say.
Excellent.
The story itself, because when I sat and listened to it for the first time, I was like, no, you got to tell me that again. I don't believe that. It's too coincidental, it's too spiritual, it's too vibrational. And for him to be here today, it's like, we have to tell the story. That's where we're at.
Excellent. So David, I'm going to give you the last word before we close for the evening.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I want people to know is that every single thing is possible if you put your mind to it. It's achievable. I have a faith, so that's what I lean on in my times, and whenever I need strength. Personally, I lean on my faith. But there is a situation out there where you literally, if you want to, if you put your mind to something, and you just go after it like you've already got it. I don't know what the proper term for that is, but I'm sure you guys will be able to come up with the proper term for that.
We understand.
Act as is.
Of course, that's mine, isn't it? That's when you say that is mine.
There you go. That worked for me on many occasions. When I left London and I went to Los Angeles, I left with 2 T-shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, my Walkmans and my Bible in my backpack, and I went off. And slept on couches and all that kind of stuff, as you know. And then one day,
it's a journey you had to take.
And then one day,
we all have had to take that journey, regardless.
There you go. There you go. And I went. A music video director by the name of Chaos Witch, who did all the song videos, and he did all that kind of stuff. We were quite good friends by then. And he was in Miami. I was in Miami at my brother's house, cooling off. And he said to me, "What are you doing here?" And I told him, marriage breakdown, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. He said to me, go up to LA. So I said, I ain't got no money to get to LA. He goes, "We'll catch a Greyhound bus." I was like, okay. I went back to my brother's house. So I'm going to LA. He said, "How can you go? You can't go on a Greyhound bus." I said, "Yeah, 4 days through the desert." 4 days. Again, back to my backpack. And I had some cheese crackers or whatever, and olives or whatever cases in there. And I'm on this bus through the desert. I'm going through El Paso, Texas, all these places. I'm seeing cactuses, like 40-foot high cactuses. It's just amazing. And I was so amazed by what I was seeing. 4 days turned into 2. Landed in Los Angeles, was invited to go to a prayer meeting I didn't know what house I was going to. Turned up at this house. Next thing you know, Smokey Robinson walks in this packed house of like 2 rooms, overflow room, and I'm sitting there next to Diana Ross's children, MC Hammer, and all these people that I recognize, and I'm like, well, I'm the least in this room because these are all, you know, bigger. And he spoke on the subject of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Okay, which is a subject I didn't want to hear at that time. Okay, but I, you know, did it, and then he said, would anybody like to say anything? And then the next thing you know, I saw Smokey holding the mic to me like this, and I was like, why is he holding the mic to me? And my mind said, David, look at your feet. When I looked at my feet, I was standing up. I was standing up. And that's why, and he stood there with the mic. So I took the mic and I just blurted out all this stuff that was in me. And by the end of the night, you know, everyone obviously knew my name. People came to me and was giving me their business cards. And next thing you know, I ended up working for Tom Shadyac and Jim Brubaker up at 333 Records at Universal. And big shout out to Bobby Garabedian and Bobby G. Bobby G saw me at Smokey's house and said, come on, you're going to be my assistant. And I was his assistant there. And I ended up living the dream that I always wanted. So, you know, I know people like Idris and those guys, all these people have gone in and done that. So it's doable. You know, it's doable. And you know,
that's a great note to end on.
Yeah, and that's the last word I have to say. It's doable.
Great. Fantastic. Great to meet you.
And
David,
you too, Rudy.
Chris.
Rudy, you used to have hair before.
Many moons ago, yeah. Flowing locks. Flowing locks. See the old pictures from the 80s, you'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, great.
All
Take
right,
care.
thank you, brother.
And good night to everybody. And the show will be rebroadcast on Fresh FM Radio London.
Okay.
Bye.